I'd been dreaming about that garden since I was 14. The willow trees curved overhead like a cathedral, sunlight filtering through branches like blessings. Mom once whispered, "When it's your turn, we'll book it. You deserve magic." So when Jared proposed under the pier in Santa Cruz, soaked in sea mist and shaking, I already knew the place. Laurel View Estate, spring, a Sunday. May 14th. We put down the deposit a week later. Every saved dollar I had, plus a little help from my dad, which he grumbled about, but gave. I remember holding the receipt like it was a newborn. Jared and I toured the property twice, walked the aisle, measured tables. My little sister Kara was supposed to be my maid of honor. She cried when I asked, or I thought they were tears of joy. The first red flag was subtle. We had just finalized the catering menu, a beautiful spring brunch with mimosas and berry tarts, when I called Laurel View to update the guest count. The receptionist paused. "You're calling about May 14th, the Sunday?" "Yes," I said, flipping through my planner. "Under the Thomas Walker reservation." Another pause. I'm not seeing that anymore. It says canceled. Weeks ago. I stared at the phone, the hum of traffic outside turning to static. "What do you mean canceled?" Let me check. Yes, it was canceled via email. On February 9th. By someone listed under the primary contact. Eliza Thomas? My mother. No, that couldn't be right. I confronted her that night after dinner, the air already thick with tension because Kara was home for wedding errands, and Jared hadn't texted back all day. "You canceled my venue?" I said, holding my phone out like evidence. Mom barely blinked. "Oh, sweetheart, we had to. You said you were still deciding, so I assumed things were on hold. I paid the deposit. I signed the contract." She sighed, pouring herself wine. "I just didn't want you to stress, and Kara needed something more stable for her planning." "Wait." I blinked. "Kara?" Kara was sitting cross-legged on the couch, scrolling through Pinterest. She didn't look up. "She's getting married in June," Mom said, almost cheerfully. "Didn't she tell you?" The lie shattered like glass in my chest. Kara was engaged to some guy named Devin she met at a ski lodge. They'd been dating less than 6 months. And apparently, my mom, our mom, had rebooked my venue for her wedding. Same place, same vendor package, same floral arch Kara once said was too much for me. And they didn't even tell me. They just erased it. Erased me. I left without dinner, without my coat. I walked 10 blocks in the cold because I couldn't breathe in that house. When I finally got through to Jared and told him everything. He was quiet. Then he said, "Babe, maybe it's a blessing in disguise." I blinked again. "What does that mean?" "I mean, planning was stressing you out. Maybe your mom just helped." That night I slept in the guest room of my friend Rosalie's apartment. I stared at the ceiling fan and thought about willow trees and sunlight, about dresses and deposits, about Jared's silence and Kara's smug smile. I thought about how easy it was for them to take something from me, and how careful I'd be when I took it all back. Rosalie made pancakes the next morning, the kind with the crispy edges and blueberries inside, even though I didn't ask. She didn't say much when I told her everything, just poured more coffee and handed me her phone. To look at Kara's Instagram, there it was, a reel of Kara twirling under the same ivy-covered pergola I had stood beneath 2 months ago. "She's a bride. She's a bride," She's a breedy, blared over the video. And the caption? Venue locked. Couldn't be more. Perfect, a blessed, Laurel View bride. I didn't remember breathing after that. Rosalie put a hand on mine and asked softly, "Do you want to scream or plot?" I smiled for the first time in 12 hours. Plot. I texted Jared first. Me. Did you know Kara's wedding is at my venue? He called instead of replying. Look, he said quickly. I didn't know it was the same place, okay? She just said Laurel View. I didn't think... You didn't think. You were with me when I booked it. A pause. She said it was open, that it got canceled. I figured maybe you let it go. Let it go, like a brunch reservation or an expired coupon. Right, I said. Let's meet tomorrow. We need to talk. That night I went back to my childhood bedroom, now redecorated with dusty blue curtains and fresh white paint. They'd painted over the wall where I used to write song lyrics in Sharpie. I stood there for a while. The closet door was half open. Something was hanging inside. It was a dress. Not mine. I stepped forward. A simple, sleeveless silk gown. The dress from my saved folder on Pinterest. The exact one I had shown Mom months ago. She said it was a little plain back then. Now it was hanging in Kara's garment bag. The next morning, Jared met me at a small cafe near his office. He was 15 minutes late, didn't apologize. I just think we're spiraling, he said, stirring sugar into his iced coffee. Your mom meant well. Kara didn't steal anything. She took my dress. And my venue. And no one said a word. Maybe she didn't know it was yours. I stared at him. Jared. She was in the planning meetings. She tasted the damn mimosas. He looked away. I didn't need to ask the next question. His silence answered it for me. He'd known. He just didn't want to get involved. I stood up. My chair scraped. I'm calling it off. His mouth opened, but no words came. You want someone who goes along with whatever your mom says? I added. Go ask Kara what color napkins I picked. She probably knows. Then I left. I didn't cry until I was back in Rosalie's kitchen, where I collapsed into a ball on her floor, sobbing into a dish towel. She sat beside me, handed me a pen, and slid over a yellow notepad. Plan it, she said. Every move. Every detail. By that evening, I'd done the first thing on the list. I emailed the manager at Laurel View. Hi, I was the original client for the May 14th wedding. I'd like a copy of the cancellation email and any changes made to the reservation. File. Thank you, Eliza Thomas. The reply came within 2 hours, attached, a PDF showing the exact time and IP address the cancellation came from. Guess whose name was on it? Kara. Not Mom. She hadn't just taken what I built. She'd lied about it and let everyone else fall on the sword. That night, I lay in bed thinking about willow trees again, but not with longing, with fire. The worst part of betrayal isn't the act itself. It's how easily everyone expects you to just live with it. 3 days after I left Jared, I received a pastel envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside, a formal wedding invitation. Kara. And Devin invite you to celebrate their sacred union at Laurel View Estate May 14th. They kept the date. They didn't even bother to pretend it was a coincidence. At the bottom, in looping silver script, please RSVP by April 20th. Rosalie peered over. My shoulder. You're going, right? I looked up. To watch? To win, she said. Over the next week, I smiled more than I had in months. Not because I was healing, because I was calculating. I created a new email. One Kara wouldn't recognize. I messaged a freelance designer in Oregon, forwarded them Kara's invitation, and requested a mock redesign. You want it to look like hers? The designer asked. No, I replied. I want it to look better, elegant, quietly expensive. The mock invitation came back 2 days later. Ivory cardstock, gold foil, willow branches embossed across the border. Eliza Thomas cordially invites you to a private garden reception. May 14th location to follow. That same afternoon, I called Laurelview. Hi, this is Eliza Thomas. I was previously a client. I just need to confirm the vendor contact list for the Thomas Walker booking made back in January. A pause. Sure, just one moment. They still had me on file. Florist, Maribel Bloom. DJ, Tyson James. Photographer, Evermore Frames. Catering, Oak and Vine Brunch Co. The same list I'd curated. Kara had simply inherited it. I called each vendor myself. Some were surprised to hear from me. Others weren't. Tyson James, the DJ, laughed when I told him who was getting married. Oh yeah, the sister said you were stepping back. Drama much? I swallowed that. Do you still have my original playlist? Sure do. Keep it. He chuckled. You paying me? I'll pay you double. Rosalie helped me make a spreadsheet. Tabs for vendor contacts, guest addresses, legal documents, even a tab titled Karma. Under Karma, we listed every instance of deceit, from the dress to the DJ, from Jared's silence to Mom's wine-soaked complicity. Each line item felt like a stitch in my spine. I wasn't unraveling anymore. I was coming back together. The final push came from someone unexpected. I was at a bookstore, trying to clear my mind, when I saw Devin, Kara's fiancé, in the coffee aisle. Alone. He didn't see me. He was talking to someone on the phone. I mean, yeah, she's nice and all, but this family is nuts. If I'd known I was marrying into a damn soap opera, I'd have picked a courthouse and a sandwich. He laughed. I stepped down the next aisle, heart pounding. I didn't record. I didn't need to. I already knew what I'd heard. This wedding wasn't built on love. It was built on competition, on theft, on image. And I was going to turn it inside out. Back home, I opened the guest list Kara had sent Mom, the same one she accidentally left open on our family's shared Google Drive. I scanned for names, highlighted the ones I knew would understand. Aunts who always hugged me tighter. Old neighbors who called me the polite one. My late grandmother's best friend, who once told me, "You're more like your mother used to be before the world hardened her." I created a B list. A true guest list, and I started mailing my new invitations. Rosalie looked over the final count and smiled. You're stealing her guests. Not stealing, I said, reclaiming. And on May 14th, just hours before Kara would walk down the aisle in my dress, under my arch, I'd walk into a different garden across town, with every guest who thought they were coming to my wedding, and they still were. 2 weeks before May 14th, I sent out my final batch of ivory invitations, not RSVPs, confirmations. Every guest who responded yes got a second envelope. Inside was a simple card with a single sentence. Please meet at 11:30 a.m., corner of Elmbrook and Hawthorne. Transportation will be waiting. No venue name, no directions. Just faith. The secret location? Rosalie's aunt's private vineyard. An hour away. Lush, secluded, and completely off the grid. No Instagram tags, no tracking, no crashers, no Kara. Meanwhile, Kara's bridal shower photos hit social media like confetti. She wore my sash. The future Mrs. Champagne one I bought during a midnight Etsy binge. Mom was beaming. Jared was there too, laughing like he'd never shared a bed with me. One picture showed the cake. Pale pink, floral, delicate script. One day closer to Kara's big day. Except it wasn't just her day. It was still mine. I stayed quiet, answered no calls from Mom, dodged Kara's forced texts. Kara. Hope we're all good for the 14th. Would love if you could say something at the reception. I almost choked. Me. Of course. That night, I sat in Rosalie's kitchen, watching her trim eucalyptus stems for the centerpieces. You think she'll notice? I asked. She raised an eyebrow. That the DJ, caterer, and half the guest list are missing? Yeah. She'll notice. I took a deep breath. This still feels insane. No, Rosalie said, smiling as she clipped another stem. This feels earned. May 14th came with perfect spring weather, blue skies, no wind. A day made for vows and violins. By 10:30 a.m., I was in the Vineyard guest house, slipping into a white jumpsuit with a deep V-back. Not a gown, not a veil, just power. Rosalie wore emerald green. She handed me a glass of Prosecco and checked the time. They're on the shuttle. How many came? She smirked. 72. My hand shook. Out of 84. Meanwhile, over at Laurelview, Kara was stepping into my gown. The one I once stood in front of a mirror wearing, whispering, "It feels like me." She thought she was walking into a masterpiece. She didn't know the guests were gone. She didn't know the DJ had emailed a cancellation due to an unexpected double booking. She didn't know her photographer, Evermore Frames, and was already in the vineyard, shooting candids of me hugging relatives, laughing with old friends, and making a toast over champagne. I didn't need revenge in the form of screaming, or sabotage, or drama. I just needed her to look out from that floral arch and see 72 empty chairs. And I needed her to wonder where they went, why they left, and who they left for. At exactly noon, Rosalie took my phone and handed me hers. "Block out the world," she said. "For 1 hour. This is your day now." I walked into the vineyard. The guests stood. They didn't clap. They beamed, like I had survived something unspeakable and still managed to arrive glowing. I gave no speech. I only smiled, and in that moment, I wasn't the jilted bride. I wasn't the forgotten daughter. I wasn't even someone's ex. I was just Eliza, and this was mine. The first text came in at 3:17 p.m. Mom. Where are you? Did you know the DJ never showed? Half the guests are missing. Then Kara. Kara. Are you kidding me? Kara. Did you do something? Kara. This is my wedding day. By 3:30 p.m., the vineyard was alive with laughter, music, and sun-dappled joy. The new DJ, someone Rosalie knew from her college days, spun jazz under hanging string lights. I didn't reply. Not yet. At 4:42 p.m., Rosalie's phone rang. It was Mom. "Don't answer," I said. She did anyway, put it on speaker. "Eliza Marie Thomas, Mom shouted. "You've ruined your sister's day. Ruined it. Are you proud of yourself? Are you proud?" Rosalie took a sip of her wine. "I think she is." "You had your chance," Mom snarled. "You walked away from Jared. You canceled everything." Kara deserved this. That last word echoed in my ribs like a slap. Deserved. Kara deserved it, I said quietly. Or you wanted her to have it because you knew I never would. A beat of silence. Then Mom hung up. By 6 p.m., the group photos were done. Sunset turned the vineyard into gold. I stood with Rosalie and a few cousins who toasted to my sanity and grit. One of them, Lisa, whispered, "I always knew you were the real one. She's just loud," I laughed, then froze. Because there she was, Kara. Standing at the edge of the vineyard's gravel path in 4-inch white heels and my dress, now smudged with dirt and rage. Her makeup was blotchy, her hair windblown, her eyes wild. "You unbelievable bitch," she hissed as she stormed toward me. Everyone turned. Rosalie stepped in front of me, but I held up my hand. "I got it." Kara's voice cracked as she spoke. "You stole my guests?" I didn't flinch. "You mean my guests?" "You ruined everything. I was supposed to have the day you never finished planning. You gave it up." "No," I said. "You took it, without asking. You lied to Laurelview. You canceled the venue behind my back. You wore my dress." Her fists clenched. "You don't get to decide who deserves what." "I didn't," I said, calmly. "They did." I turned and gestured to the crowd, all watching, all silent. Every missing chair at her ceremony now filled with people sipping rosé and watching her crumble. They showed up here because they chose me. Kara's face twisted. "You're disgusting." "No," I said. "I'm done being quiet." I stepped closer, my voice low. "And for the record, I didn't ruin your wedding. I just gave you what you gave me." "What's that?" "A memory you'll never forget." She left in tears. Rosalie handed me a glass. "To poetic justice," she said. "To silence," I whispered. "To revenge." We toasted as the music swelled behind us, and in the distance, the last rays of sun dipped beneath the vines. The vineyard emptied slowly. Guests lingered past sundown, reluctant to leave the soft buzz of jazz, the warmth of conversation, the sense that they had just witnessed something real, something that would be whispered about for years. As the lanterns were packed and the tables cleared, I stood under the last strand of lights with Rosalie, barefoot now, heels dangling from one hand. "You sure you're okay?" she asked. I nodded. "I don't know if this was closure," I said, "but it felt like reclamation." She clinked her glass against mine. "Then it's enough." The next day was quiet, too quiet. No more texts from Mom, no calls from Kara, just digital silence so loud it rang in my ears. But the silence didn't last. By noon, the real fallout began. Post number 1, Aunt Lorraine. Disgusted by what I saw yesterday. "You can't force love, but you can expose cruelty. Proud of you, Eliza." Post number 2, family friend comment thread. "I thought Kara's wedding was canceled?" "No, she just reused the old one." "That was Eliza's, right?" "Yep. She pulled a stunt and it backfired." Post merb 3, Jared's cousin. Jared. Who? The man was silent while his girl got steamrolled. Eliza dodged a bullet. The internet wasn't on my side, but real people were. My mailbox filled with handwritten notes from guests. You held your head high. We saw it. That day was the most honest wedding I've ever been to. And it wasn't even a wedding. Thank you for reminding me that grace and rage can live together. Some came from old co-workers. One came from Jared's mom. I raised him better. I'm sorry. Rosalie and I laughed reading it. Then we cried a little too. She sat beside me on the couch, our legs tangled, takeout between us, and asked, "What do you want now?" I hadn't thought about that. I don't know, I said. I spent so long reacting. Maybe I want to start choosing again. Choosing what? Where I live, who I trust, what I build. That night I sat at my laptop. I deleted the shared Google Drive folder Kara and Mom still had access to. Then I opened a new one. I labeled it Things That Are Mine. I uploaded photos from the vineyard. Scanned copies of the original vendor contracts, receipts, emails, invitations, and a note to myself, written in bold font. You don't need their permission to reclaim what you built. A week passed. Then 2. Mom didn't call. Neither did Kara. Until I got a letter. Not a text, not an email. A letter. In her sharp, looping handwriting. Dear Eliza, I'm not going to apologize for having a wedding. I deserve to be happy. But maybe I didn't have to take your pieces to build it. You embarrassed me. But I guess I embarrassed you first. I don't forgive you yet. I'm not sure you forgive me either. But we're sisters. That has to count for something. K. I folded it. Didn't cry. Just stared at it for a long time and whispered, being sisters never stopped you before. But I didn't throw it away. I placed it in the new folder. Not out of sentiment. Out of evidence. Proof that even the people who betray you sometimes recognize the ruins they made. But that doesn't mean you owe them the blueprint to rebuild. 2 months passed. The letter from Kara stayed tucked in the folder marked Things That Are Mine, just beneath the vineyard photos and above the cancellation email with her IP address. I didn't reread it. I didn't need to. What I needed was space. So I took it. I found a rental 30 miles north, small but sunlit, with creaky wooden floors and a porch that faced west. Rosalie helped me paint the living room the color of sea glass. My cousin Lisa brought a hanging plant and said, "Now it feels like you." I started waking up without dread in my chest. I started writing again. Essays, letters I never sent, poems I'd never admit to. Some nights I walked the quiet road near the woods and didn't think about the dress, or the silence, or the chairs at Laurel View. I just breathed. One day in late July, I got a call from Tyson, the original DJ. "I got a referral today," he said. "Couple saw your event at the vineyard. They said whatever that energy was, we want it." I laughed. "It wasn't a wedding." "Didn't matter," he said. "It was something else." He paused. "You ever think of planning events?" "Me?" "You did what 3 coordinators couldn't pull off in a weekend. And the vibe? Unreal." I told him I'd think about it. I did more than think. I bought a domain name, started sketching ideas, named it Second Bloom, not revenge, not payback, just reclamation, a service for women like me, people who got left behind, overlooked, or edited out, and still wanted to make something beautiful from the broken. In August, I got another letter, this time from Mom, shorter than Kara's. Colder. I hope you're well. I'm sorry for how things unfolded. I thought I was helping. But maybe I was just controlling. If you ever want to talk, you know where I live. I didn't write back. I didn't burn it either. Some bridges don't need flames, just distance. That same week, I walked into a bookstore and met someone. His name was Lucas. He saw the book I was holding and said, "That ending wrecked me too." I smiled. I'm still wrecked. We talked for 10 minutes, then 40. He didn't ask about Jared, didn't ask about the dress, just asked if I liked blackberry pie and if I'd come with him to the Sunday market next weekend. I said yes. I wore a linen dress and no makeup. We bought peaches and sunflowers. He carried everything. On the drive home, he said, "You look like you're in the middle of your story." "I am," I said. He nodded, like that was exactly what he hoped I'd say. That night, I wrote something in the Things That Are Mine folder. Sometimes healing doesn't come from an apology. Sometimes it comes from knowing who you are when no one's watching. The next morning, I got a notification. The Thomas family group chat was alive again. Kara had changed the photo to a sonogram. "Coming this winter, baby F." The comments lit up. Mom replied with hearts. My name wasn't tagged. I muted the thread, then opened my laptop, sipped my tea, and uploaded a new entry into Second Bloom's website. How to rebuild your life without a single apology. The clicks started rolling in. So did the emails, from women, from brides, from daughters, from people like me. By autumn, Second Bloom had a waiting list. It wasn't viral. It was slower, deeper. Women found me through blog posts, whispered referrals, late-night searches with tear-blurred eyes. They didn't want vendors or venues. They wanted dignity back. And someone who'd already survived the fire. One woman, Rachel, wrote, "My sister took over my baby shower, then told me I was too emotional to host my own. I've never felt more invisible. Can you help me be seen again?" I did. Helped her plan a garden dinner with her real friends. No matching cupcakes, no gifts, just stories, candles. Laughter so raw it felt like therapy. Rachel hugged me as the sun set. "You saved me," she whispered. "No," I told her. "You just finally stopped shrinking." Lucas read every post I published. He sat in silence when I told him about the day at Laurelview. He didn't flinch, didn't try to solve it. He just held my hand, kissed my temple, and said, "It's wild how much power people think they have over you, until you don't need their approval anymore." And I realized something then. He didn't admire me because I survived. He admired me because I chose not to vanish. It was a Tuesday when the knock came. Unexpected. Kara. She looked smaller somehow. Not thinner, just folded. She was holding a baby blanket in one hand, a manila envelope in the other. "I don't know why I came," she said. "I do." She looked up, startled. "Because you're scared," I said. "And the version of yourself that burned bridges can't walk through fire alone." Tears filled her eyes. She stepped forward, held out the envelope. "I wanted you to have this." Inside was a photo. Us. Little girls in Easter dresses. Me holding her hand. Her looking up at me like I was the sun. "I was horrible," she whispered. "I knew what I was doing. I just wanted to feel chosen." Silence. "I don't expect you to forgive me," she said. "But if I have a daughter, I don't want her to grow up watching me hate my sister." I took a breath. "That's not up to me. That's your choice." "I know," she said again. We stood there. No hugs, no dramatic music, just the brittle sound of two women finally seeing each other through the smoke. That night, I didn't cry. I sat on my porch, Lucas beside me, blanket wrapped around our legs. We didn't talk about her. We talked about us. About building a studio. About traveling to Florence. About growing things. He reached over, brushed hair from my cheek and said, "You're not just healing anymore. You're becoming." I smiled. Becoming. Whatever you want. The next morning I uploaded one last entry to Second Bloom. Sometimes they take the dress, the venue, the speech, the seat at the table, but they can't take your becoming. Because it's not built in a day. It's built in the silence, the no's, the quiet fires you walk out of without looking back. And when you bloom again, not as a bride, not as a sister, but as yourself, that's when the world finally realizes you were never theirs to erase.